मेरी।
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay. What was the last thing we dealt with in the previous class?
Sir, we calculated the minimum mu required for a body to roll down an incline.
So we calculated
Yeah, sir.
velocity of the body rolling down an incline.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we know even minimum mu. Fine. We did that using conservation of energy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we actually proceed with that, we have to deal with what we call as hinges. Hinge is one such equipment which can change the direction of the normal force depending on the problem. Hinge is one such equipment which can change the direction of the normal force depending on the problem and circumstance. So hinge force will have a normal force. Which direction? I'm not sure unless I look at the problem. Problem to problem, the direction may change. What does a hinge force look like? What does the hinge look like basically? You people get to see hinges at the corner of a door. This is a hinge. That's a hinge. This is a hinge. Three of that will be fixed to the door, three will be fixed to the pelmet, and you keep them this way and you send in a rod. If I press it to the left, normal force is to the right. I press it to the right, normal force is to the left. I push this door inwards into the wall. Will the door accelerate into the wall? It will not. Normal force is acting towards me.
Yes, sir.
On the contrary, I will pull the door towards me. I will pull the door towards me this way. I am pulling the door in my direction. Normal force will be acting away from me.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, one more funny part. I am opening the door. I am not providing any centripetal force, right? I am not providing any centripetal force.
Yes, sir.
Right? If I am not providing centripetal force, how is the door rotating? Hinge force provides the required centripetal force. I am providing tangential force. Why is the door rotating? Because the hinge force provides the required centripetal force. Incidentally, hinge force also is balancing the weight of the door. Door doesn't scratch the flooring. There is a thin gap between the door and the floor. There is a thin gap between the door and the floor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't
Yes,
scratch.
sir.
So who is balancing the weight of the door? The normal force Ny in the upward direction. So hinge force will give you the normal force in the horizontal direction depending on the circumstance. Vertical direction, it is balancing the weight of the door. So whenever you are dealing with hinge forces, remember, it will depend on the circumstance of the problem. Can you explain it this way? This is a door, let us assume. I have two hinges here, one hinge and one hinge here. I will take NX inwards, and this is MG. NX inwards and NX inwards, and this is MG. Right? Who is balancing MG? You are telling me NY and NY. Now, this free body diagram is wrong for one reason. The door is at rest. If this free body diagram was correct, because of NX and NX, the door would have been accelerating into the wall. The door will have net acceleration in this direction. Hence, this free body diagram is wrong. There should be some force towards the right. So then I decided that one NX will be towards the left. MG cannot change its direction. NY should be in the upward direction, balancing MG. Right? Then I assumed NX here and NX here. So now vertical forces can be balanced, horizontal forces can be balanced. Door is at rest and it is not accelerating. I am happy but unhappy with one point. Translational equilibrium, the conditions are met, but rotational equilibrium condition is not met. rotational equilibrium conditions are not met. You mean to say if this was the correct free body diagram, the door cannot be at rest, it will be rotating clockwise. Observe this. If I take the torque about the hinge, Ny and Ny will give me 0 torque, Nx also will give me 0 torque. This Nx and Mg will give me clockwise. This Nx and Mg will give me clockwise torque. There is no anti-clockwise torque. So a door cannot be at rest this way. If this free body diagram is correct, the door will be rotating clockwise. If this free body diagram was correct, the door would be rotating clockwise. You understood why this free body diagram will be wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You all understood why this free body diagram will be wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now we come to the last option, which will be right. I take Nx this way and Nx this way. Ny and Y, they need not be the same. I just took them to be the same. Now, if you observe about this point, Nx will give me anti-clockwise torque, Mg will give me clockwise torque. Ny and Nx will give me 0 torque about this point. Translational equilibrium. Translational equilibrium, forces in upward direction are balancing forces in downward direction. Forces in the horizontal positive x-axis are balancing negative x-axis. Right?
Yes, sir.
So, based on the circumstance, you will have to decide the direction of the normal force. 1 second, all of you listen. We go back. Fluid dynamics started for you people.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
This is an old JE question. We all have some basic idea on buoyancy. Buoyancy is the upthrust. If I tell you weight of this marker, where will the weight act? At its center of mass?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Buoyancy will act on the centroid of the displaced liquid, only that part of the body which is inside the liquid. Buoyancy will not act on center of mass of the body. It will act on centroid of the displaced liquid. Centroid of the displaced liquid. Now, JE people gave that this rod is in equilibrium. Incidentally, students didn't have to worry about the hinge force here. They took the torque about the hinge and they finished off the problem. Students didn't have to worry about the hinge force. Out of academic interest, we are digging in deeper into. To solve this problem of fluid dynamics from asked by JE people, if the student took the torque about the hinge, he would get the answer. The job is done. This is MJ. Now, buoyancy will not act at the center of mass. It will act at the centroid of the displaced liquid. So that length which is inside the water, uske center per buoyancy. Right? And what did students do? They took the torque about the hinge and they finished the problem. But out of academic interest, if you dig and verify what are the directions of the normal force, it is said rod is in equilibrium. So now Nx will be equal to 0. Why will it be 0? There is no other horizontal force on the body. Ny, if I take it in the upward direction, then look at it. From the center of mass, torque about the center of mass, buoyancy also will give me clockwise, Ny also will give me clockwise. And there is no anti-clockwise torque. If I take Ny in the upward direction, buoyancy and Ny both will give me clockwise torque about the center of mass. There is no anti-clockwise torque to balance this. Rod cannot be in equilibrium. But you gave in the question that the rod is in equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
So then what happens? That implies Ny is acting in the downward direction. Now about the center of mass, buoyancy will give me clockwise, Ny will give me anti-clockwise. Rod can be in equilibrium. Vertical forces, buoyancy is equal to mg plus Ny because the rod is in equilibrium. Right, buoyancy is equal to mg plus Ny. JE people didn't ask you Ny. We are digging into to understand how a hinge works. Nx will be 0. Torque about the center of mass will be 0. Torque due to buoyancy, torque due to Ny are equal and opposite. Torque due to buoyancy and torque due to Ny are equal and opposite. So don't always jump to conclusion that Ny will be in upward direction. I am showing you an example where Ny will be in downward direction. Hinge force will depend on the circumstance of the problem. Keep your eyes open for it. You will have to, every time you want me to deal with hinge force, you'll have to analyze all these situations. Yes. That's why it is suggested you take the torque about the hinge if you are eligible. Safest bet will be always take the torque about the hinge. Nx, Ny, two variables, everything will get eliminated. Even if you are forced to introduce a pseudo force, for example, this is a truck. The truck is accelerating this way. You have a thin rod hinged like this. You have a thin rod hinged like this. Now, if you take the torque about center of mass, you have to deal with both Nx and Ny. Instead, take the torque about the hinge. Take the torque about the hinge and introduce a pseudo force. Torque about O will be safest. Why? Nx and Y two variables are eliminated. Pseudo force एक variable is billion times better than Nx and Ny because neither do I know the directions of Nx and Ny for sure. I am damn sure about direction of pseudo force. So in this situation, handling pseudo force is easier than handling Nx and Ny. Is the logic clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Solve one problem on this, take it down.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Ah.
Sir, I did not understand the difference between the second hinge diagram and the third hinge diagram.
Take the torque about this and see. In this, there is clockwise torque, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here, mg gives me clockwise and x gives me anti-clockwise. They both can balance out each other.
Okay, sir. Got it, sir.
Right now, we deal with only single hinges. Two hinges I have taken only to explain. We will deal right now only with single hinges.
So you told that we can't provide the centripetal acceleration, so hinge provides it, right? But in the second and third case, you drawn the net force in the x direction would be 0, so there will be no
When you are rotating the door, then Nx will shift towards the left. It depends on the problem. How much angular velocity you are giving. Based on that, Nx will turn towards the left. And both Nx's will provide the required centripetal force.
Okay, so you have considered in equilibrium. Okay, sir.
Here door is closed and it is in equilibrium.
Okay, sir.
So what did you tell about the centripetal force while explaining with the door? Can you repeat?
We are not providing centripetal force. We are holding the handle and rotating the door, right?
Yes, sir.
So who is providing the centripetal?
Hinge force, sir. Okay.
Right. NX will provide the required.
Okay, sir. So in the lower diagram where you have put NY, MG and FB, you have taken torque about what, which point?
About center of mass.
Okay, sir.
Buoyancy will give me clockwise torque. NY will give me anti-clockwise torque. Body is in equilibrium. If NY were in the upward direction, then body cannot be in equilibrium.
So rotational equilibrium is you're checking it around the hinge or center of mass.
I'm eligible for both. Hinge is also fixed. It is not accelerating. Center of mass, anytime I'm eligible.
So I didn't actually understand the third diagram. How did you check for the rotational equilibrium?
Torque about the lower hinge. Upper NX is giving me anti-clockwise.
Yes, sir.
MG is giving me clockwise.
Yes, sir.
Remaining all forces are passing through that hinge.
Okay, so NX and MG will cancel out both.
Right. Torque due to NX and MG will cancel.
Yes, yes, sir.
So could you please explain again why is the second diagram wrong?
It is not in rotational equilibrium. Take the torque about any point and see, it will not be in rotational equilibrium. I have taken the torque about the lower hinge. NX and MG will give me clockwise torque. Remaining all forces are passing through the hinge.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you, sir.
Sir, you said na FB is passing through center of mass. I'm just confirming that. Is that true?
Come again. Come again.
Sir, FB is passing through center of mass. Is that true?
FB सेंटर ऑफ मास से दिख रहा है आपको? तो अगर FB सेंटर ऑफ मास से पास हो रहा है तो एक पॉइंट
Sorry.
Buoyancy will act at the centroid of the displaced liquid, not center of mass of the body. Buoyancy will act at the centroid of the displaced liquid.
Noted.
No, listen. There is a thin rod kept this way. Hinged to this point. Thin rod is hinged this way and released from the vertical position. As it falls to the horizontal position, they are asking you the value of normal force at the hinge. Find the value of normal force when the rod falls to the horizontal position. Now the rod falls to the horizontal position. I am damn sure NX provides the required centripetal force. There is no other force which provides the required centripetal force for the rod. Rod is falling this way. Rod is falling this way. Right? So NX should provide the required centripetal force. NX is M omega square L by. Do you agree with that? Omega of the rod L by 2 whole of the mass appears to be concentrated at the center.
Yes, sir.
Right? If I can tell you omega, half my job is done. I have calculated NX. If I can tell you omega, half my job is done. I have calculated NX. How do I calculate omega? Loss in potential energy is gain in kinetic energy. Mg L by 2 is equal to half I about the hinge into omega square. Half I about the hinge into omega square. Mg L by 2 is half I omega square. If you know the point about which the body is subjected to pure rotation, then kinetic energy is only half I omega square.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Half I about this is ml square by 3 into omega square. Mgl by 2. Ml2 will go. Omega is 3g by L. Substitute this omega here. I will get Nx is M 3g by L into L by 2. 3mg by 2 is Nx. Half my job is done. Why are you saying half your job? Because Ny is get left over. Ny I will take in the upward direction. Because I don't see a reason why it should be in the downward direction. If my assumption is wrong after solving, I'll get a negative sign. So, mg minus ny is equal to m into ay. Translational dynamic equation. Ay will be the acceleration of center of mass of the body. Ay will be the acceleration of center of mass of the body. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, in an attempt to calculate Ny, you have introduced a new variable called Ay. To eliminate Ay, after translational dynamic equation, next equation available for me is rotational dynamic equation. Preferred point will be center of mass, but here I will take the torque about the hinge. Torque about the hinge. Why? Two forces are passing through that. But in this question, you are asked to calculate Nx and Ny. So eliminating Nx and Ny will not facilitate you in any way. Here, by taking torque about the hinge, you have eliminated Nx and Ny in your equation. But of what use? You have to calculate Nx and Ny. Right? But yet I take the torque about the hinge. Mg into L by 2 is ml square by 3 into alpha. Nx and Ny are passing through that point. Mg into L by 2 is clockwise torque equal to I alpha. Torque about one extreme end ml square by 3. Now, Ay I should get in terms of alpha. Call this center of mass, call this O. Acceleration of center of mass with respect to plus acceleration of O with respect to ground is acceleration of center of mass with respect to ground. Acceleration of center of mass with respect to O plus acceleration of O with respect to ground is 0. I'll get acceleration of center of mass with respect to ground. Center of mass with respect to O is L by 2 alpha. So technically, from the third equation, I will get AC with respect to ground is AY, this is L by 2 alpha. AY is L by 2 alpha. Substitute alpha from here at this place. Will I get NY? Translational
Yes, sir.
dynamic equation, rotational dynamic equation, constraint relations. Acceleration of center of mass with respect to O is R alpha plus acceleration of O with respect to ground is 0, which will give me acceleration of center of mass with respect to ground. Acceleration of center of mass with respect to ground, which was A by
Sir, NY is coming out to be mg by 4. Okay, sir.
Sir, if we are taking torque about 3m, only Ny would be in the equation, right?
only N. If I take torque about center of mass, it will be Ny into L by is equal to ml square by 12 into L.
Okay.
Sir, why don't we consider AX?
Pardon?
Sir, why don't we?
सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है यार जो आप बोल रहे हो. Somebody who could hear him.
So he was asking why didn't we consider AX?
Here. His point is the time in the constraint relation.
Yeah, yes, sir. No, sir. You have written the acceleration with respect to ground is equal to AY. Why won't we consider acceleration in x direction? Because also in x direction is different, right?
And I see the directions of the vector summation, accelerations, and everything is taken along y axis.
Oh, okay.
Did I show you the video of bodies rolling down an inclined plane?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
You were going to show it in the last class, but then time ran out.
Okay. Can I rub the board?
Sure, sir.
1 minute, 1 minute, sir, 1 minute. Done, sir.
Somebody's mic is on, please switch it off. No. Body rolling down an inclined plane. What did you tell me acceleration was? G sine theta upon 1 plus k square by r square. Velocity is 2gh. This is h upon 1 plus k square by r square. So if three identical, and this is independent of mass, you don't have expression mass here, right? So जिसका भी k square by r square is greater will have lesser velocity. For a ring, how much is k square by r square? 1. For a disk, k square by r square is half. For a hollow sphere, ring and hollow cylinder are the same. Hollow cylinder, solid cylinder, hollow sphere, k square by r square is 2 by 3, 0.66. Solid sphere, k square by r square is 2 by 5, 0.4. So, which is the greatest? Ring is the greatest. Velocity of the ring will be the least. After 1.66, velocity of the hollow sphere. After that, velocity of the disk. Slowest will be solid sphere.
Sir, fastest, no?
Fastest.
Velocity of the solid sphere will be the fastest if all are released from the same height. If all are released from the same height and it's independent of the mass, right? And it is independent of the mass. Max Muller's video on this. Just stay online, make a note of it. I'll open this video. Somebody's mic is on, please switch it off.
And our very special business today is the enchant. I had a block twice as heavy is equal to when we see the mass uniformly distributed. Another interesting and enchanting detail arises. Here I have a disk of wood wherein we see the mass uniformly distributed. There is some everywhere with respect, say, to a central geometric axis. Here we have a hoop. The hoop has another property. All the mass of the hoop with respect to a central geometric axis is in the periphery, in the edge. So now, this brass hoop and this wooden disc have the same mass, but their distribution of mass is different. If then I put them at the top of the plane, since we see also they have the same diameter, the same radius, the same surface contact, which indeed doesn't matter a bit, we ask, how do they roll when I let them go? Do they roll together, that is, keeping neck and neck? Or does the disc win, or does the hoop win? And I'm going to show you how this does indeed come out. Watch it. And so we see the disc winning. Now I'm going to roll another disc. Here is a disc, aluminum, much smaller than the hoop, and I'm going to roll these together. This is a disc and still the hoop, and the disc again wins. Now I'm going to roll these two discs together. Small disc, big disc. It will be a little difficult to check this, but if our provisions for nature were of an adequate sort, I could show you the following phenomena. Watch it. Did we not, I must go further, did we not see this disc beat this hoop? Did we not see this disc beat this hoop? Let me take another hoop. Here is a hoop. Well, it's a long one with a long axis, but it's a hoop. And here is a disc. Watch now. This disc is beating this hoop. This disc is beating this hoop. Here is another hoop and another disc. This disc is beating this hoop. Let me take another hoop and a disc. This disc is beating this hoop. And what am I getting at? I'm getting at a most astonishing discovery. First, if I rolled all the discs in the world, I would find that all discs roll alike. Alike. I would find that all hoops roll alike. Little hoops, big hoops, fat hoops, skinny hoops, they all roll alike. Big discs, skinny discs, here is a disc, here is a disc. Now, because it has a long axis, we call it a cylinder, but I'm going to show you that that disc behaves the same with this hoop as other discs did. Watch it. And so I'm going to tell you another secret. All discs roll alike, all hoops roll alike. Now all discs beat all hoops. All discs. So now somebody says, Professor, You have not lived long enough to roll all the discs and all the hoops in the world, so how do you know that? Indeed, no one has ever rolled all the discs and all the hoops in the world. But I have rolled discs and hoops in America, in Canada, in Africa, in Australia, and always I find that all the discs I roll alike, and all the hoops I rolled alike, and all the discs I rolled beat all the hoops. Now, I'm going to give you the argument, the proof that all discs roll alike. Here it is. I'm going to write some mathematics. There it is. And so we uncover a most remarkable thing. And I would invite you, wherever you go in the world, find a disc and a sphere and a hoop and roll them and see if what I say is not true. And here is the one with the weights lodged near the center. Watch now the motion. There it is. Motion is slower, and I'm going to show you that. Here's the one. So you see, when the mass is farther from the geometric axis, the motion is slower, and I'm going to show you that. Here's the one with the weights lodged in the periphery, and here is the one with the weights lodged near the center. Watch now the motion. There it is.
If you people have observed these two discs, they are not uniform discs. The last thing that he showed, both are not uniform discs. There are weights stuck into the disc, in one case closer to the center, one place away from the center. So mass distribution is different. So moment of inertia of these two discs are different. Observe this carefully. See, these are the two diagrams. In this case, you have got some masses fit in the center of the disc. In this case, there are some masses fit on the outer periphery of the disc.
The motion is slower, and I'm going to show you that. Here's the one with the weights lodged in the periphery, and here is the one with the weights lodged near the center. Watch now the motion. There it is. And so we uncover a most remarkable thing. We can roll is that there is friction between it and the inclined plane. Without friction, there can be no rolling. Consider the behavior of your automobile wheels on a very icy surface. They cannot roll. Accordingly, in the playing with a yo-yo, what do we find? What is a yo-yo? A yo-yo is a disc with a central axis around which is wound a string. So this is a body rolling on an inclined plane, which is usually vertical. Watch it. Oh, now do you see? There is not enough friction there for the...
I am yet to teach you people yo-yo. When I come to that, I'll show you that part of it. We haven't yet come till the yo-yo. Can I rub the board?
So just a minute.
Yes, sir.
So I had a doubt that what we derive the acceleration and the velocity of center of mass that were for uniform bodies. So here what they showed in the video, since the mass is not equally distributed, the acceleration and the velocity won't be independent of
Only
mass.
in the last system. First
only in the
last
last only in the last system.
The last 2 minutes one which I showed to you, the two discs are not uniform. This a square by r square will be for a disk half only if it is uniformly distributed.
So in that case, acceleration and velocity will be dependent on how the mass is distributed, right?
It depends on k square by r.
Okay, sir.
If the mass distribution changes, moment of inertia changes.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Now, where HCV takes the students for a ride, in one of the objectives, he gives this. Students immediately start calculating k square by r square, जिसका ज्यादा है जिसका कम है, and then velocity acceleration का comparison कर ले. They turn the page and see their answer don't match. All will move with same velocity. Answer given by HCV. Why? Then you open your eyes and read the question properly. HCV takes you people for a ride in one of the questions. He says it's a smooth surface. On a smooth surface, there will be no friction, no rolling. So all will slide down with g sin theta. All will have the same velocity down. So keep your eyes open in the objectives. Don't directly keep jumping to conclusions. This is when a body is rolling.
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 Right? Now listen. Let us come back. If you people recollect, before I dealt with the analysis on an inclined plane, first I dealt with friction, ka direction. Then I used the dynamic equation and we solved the problem. Ironically, first we should deal with on a horizontal surface, then we should deal with on an inclined plane. But only here we deal with it in the reverse. For reasons that you will understand. On a horizontal surface, analysis is much tougher. क्या बोल रहे हो यार? Horizontal surface, why will the analysis be tougher? Observe how to analyze friction and its direction, and what all circumstances where a body roll on a horizontal surface. Firstly, I will do this. You will have innumerable number of match the columns that can be generated on this. I will deal with this for a test. Solid cylinder of radius r. At what height? This is smooth surface. At what height am I supposed to apply the force so that the cylinder rolls? Smooth surface पर roll होगा, horizontal पर हो सकता है. Provided I apply a horizontal force. Let me verify. I'll calculate and see. At what height am I supposed to apply force so that the body rolls? Is the question clear? At what height? On a smooth surface. Translational dynamic equation. Are we all okay with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Rotational dynamic equation I into alpha mr square by 2. I have done more than one thing in this equation. I took the torque about center of mass, F into h, equated it to I into alpha. I is mr square by 2. Alpha you substituted as A by R. मतलब आपने ruling लिया हुआ है. A is this, alpha is this. This is R alpha. Minus R alpha plus A is the acceleration of point of contact with respect to ground, which should be 0. So A is equal to R alpha. Indirectly, you have differentiated VCM equal to R omega. Differentiate this, This is A, this will be alpha. Hence, I substituted alpha is A by R. That means third equation, the constraints I directly incorporated here. F is equal to MR A by 2H. Equation 1, equation 2. Equate both of them. What do you get? H is equal to R by 2. H is equal to R by 2. That means on a smooth surface, you keep the body and apply a force at a height of R by 2, the body will roll, provided the body is
A disc.
a disk.
A disc. Disc or a solid
Hollow
cylinder.
sphere, then the value will not be R by 2 because I value will be 2 by 3 mR. Now, look at the other side of the point. If I keep the body on a rough surface, listen to the logic carefully. If I keep it on a rough surface and I apply force at a height of R by 2, will this body roll?
Yes.
It will,
Sir,
but
can you
in
repeat
the
it once
presence of
again?
friction.
If this body is kept on a rough surface and applied force at a height of R by 2, will the body roll?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It
sir.
will, but in the presence
Yes,
of
sir.
friction.
It will. But friction's value will be 0. Friction can be any value between 0 to mu n. Friction can be any value between 0 to mu n. What is friction's prima facie requirement? It should make sure that there is no slipping. Rolling is nothing but no slipping condition. Whenever I tell you point of contact is at rest with respect to the surface, I mean the point is not slipping. Hence, friction facilitates rolling. If this is kept on a rough surface and you apply force at a height of R by 2, you apply force at a height of R by 2. Friction facilitates rolling. Friction will take any value between 0 to mu n. Friction will be less than or equal to mu n greater than 0 to facilitate rolling. Why? Why does friction love rolling?
No.
Because there's no
Point of
slipping.
contact
No
is
relative
less with
No
respect.
relative motion.
No relative motion. So friction's requirement is that there should be no slipping at this particular point. No slipping implies rolling. So friction will facilitate rolling by making its value 0. Even if you keep it on a rough surface and apply force at a height of R by 2, the body will roll. What is the value of friction that it will take? 0. Now your argument leads a new thought to us. If I increase the height and apply force, friction can readjust its value between 0 to mu n and make sure that the body rolls.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Let us analyze that. Take it down till here.
So what should be the name of the subtopic?
Actually, it is continuation of that, but it's okay. Write down name of the subtopic नहीं हो गया. This you बोल के लिख लो. वो पूरा हो ending आने के बाद you will understand what it is. Put it as a disk and rolling on a horizontal surface. Right? Rolling on a horizontal surface. Rolling on horizontal surface. But wait till I come to the ending, you will actually understand the meaning of that.
Sir, sir, what will happen on the smooth surface if we apply a force above R by 2?
The next point is that analysis only. Take it out.
So if we apply force below r by 2, then the body won't roll, right? Because r by 2 is the minimum height.
Take it down, you'll understand. Wait for another 5 minutes.
Sir, do you mind repeating the last thing that you mentioned when you said that if the height increases, then what will happen?
All of you switch off your mics for some time.
So I didn't understand how did you write friction is between 0 and mu n for if the force is applied at r by 2.
This is a general statement. Limiting friction can take values between
0 and mu n.
That's what I have written. So here, how much value will it take to make the body roll? 0.
Oh, okay.
Because
Sir, you should have put an equal to 0 also, right?
Then the body is at rest. If it is 0, the body is at rest.
No, sir, the friction.
Friction, yeah. Can I rub the board?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, have a look at this. If I apply force at a height of r by 2, friction will make itself 0 to facilitate rolling. What if I increase the height? What if I increase the height? Let me take one analysis before I increase the height. Look at this analysis carefully. If I apply force at a height of r by 2, friction used is 0. If h is equal to r by 2, then friction is 0. This is what you proved till now for us. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Suppose h is greater than r by 2. H is greater than r by 2. Then will the torque about COM increase?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That implies alpha increases.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
ACM is equal to R alpha for this relation to sustain. If alpha increases, ACM must also increase.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ACM increases only if friction acts in forward direction.
Yes, sir.
Is the analysis clear? At R by 2 height, if I apply the force, the friction used is same. I increase the height. Torque about center of mass increases, alpha increases for this relation to sustain. Why should that relation sustain? Because friction loves rolling. Point of contact should be at rest. Friction will do everything in its capacity to prevent slipping. So it will act in the forward direction to make sure that the body rolls. Let me take an example and explain. I am applying force at the topmost point. Topmost point is above R by 2.
Yes, sir.
I am applying force at R. Now you already know from the analysis that friction will act in forward direction. Right? F plus F is equal to MA. First equation, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
F into R minus F into R is MR square by 2. Alpha is A by R. I have done more than one thing in this equation. Torque about center of mass. F into R is clockwise. Friction into R is anti-clockwise. Equate it to I into alpha. R. F minus F is MA by 2. F is equal to 3MA by 4. 2F is 3MA by 2. F is 3MA by 2. Now what will small f be? MA minus capital F.
Minus MA.
This will be MA by 4. You calculated friction. You got positive value. Implies the direction of friction taken is correct.
Correct.
One more important point. From these two equations, capital F is 4 times smaller. 3 times, sorry. Capital F is 3 times smaller. What are you heading towards? Listen carefully. Friction can take any value between 0 to mu n. So capital F with any value 3 times mu n greater than 0. If you apply capital F anywhere between this, the body will roll. Correspondingly, value of friction will adjust. Friction's maximum value is mu n, minimum value is 0. Now you apply a force anywhere between these two. You have a corresponding value of friction for which the body rolls. Now look at the complete maxi column that I can create. I'll tell you force is applied at the topmost point. Body is rolling, not rolling, right hand side. Friction is in the forward or in the backward direction. Value of friction. If I change capital F, friction value will change. To what extent it can change? Till it reaches mu n. So I'll keep changing capital F. I'll give you several values of capital F. Right hand side. Is the body rolling? Is the body not rolling? Is friction in the forward direction? Friction in the backward direction? Value of friction. You can understand how many maxi columns I can play with?
Yes, sir.
For one particular case where I fixed a R. Suppose I change the height or I change the body. I'll have another complete set of maxi columns. Change the height or change the body. I have done all this only for a disk. You change the body, moment of inertia will change. For this example, I can give you n values of capital F. Now for every problem you cannot solve. Solve this and find out the range. If capital F is between these two values, the body rolls.
Yes, sir.
What is the value of friction? Once I know capital F, it will not be difficult for you to calculate friction. Capital F by 3 will be friction in the forward direction. I will change the height and solve another example on this. Have a look at it. Can I have the left part of the board?
Sir, just 1 minute.
Sir, 1 minute.
Sir, 2 minutes, please, sir.
Okay.
So to calculate the limiting value of capital F, you have taken capital F to be on the top, right?
No, for a capital F on the top, these are the values. I'll change the height. You will get different set of values.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Sir, you can erase the left side.
Okay. Good.
So here, if we had taken in the second equation the reverse direction of alpha, then we would have gotten a negative value, right? And then accordingly we would have
Alpha
readjusted.
का reverse direction कैसे ले लो?
Sorry, sir.
Alpha का reverse direction कैसे ले लो? About the center of mass, I'm getting clockwise alpha. You have to take clockwise. Reverse कैसा लोगे? Then you should take this minus. Then I have no problem. If you are taking friction into R minus this into this, then you are taking alpha in anti-clockwise. But right now what you have taken is A this way and alpha this way. This is R alpha. A minus R alpha is D.
So we have assumed this.
Now according to you, you want to take alpha this way. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What will you get here? R alpha plus A, you will equate it to 0. Don't you think you will be inviting trouble?
Sir, basically you have taken the opposite of the convention, right?
Pardon?
For our convenience, we have taken the opposite direction instead of the convention, right?
क्या मतलब?
The convention we take alpha in the anti-clockwise as positive, right? So here both negatives are getting cancelled, right?
That is altogether a different thing. What he asked is altogether different.
Oh, okay, sir.
Don't mess up that way. Now, if somebody want to take clockwise positive, anti-clockwise negative, comfortably do that. Or anti-clockwise positive, clockwise negative, you are multiplying whole of the equation with a negative sign.
That's what I was asking, sir.
That can be done anytime, anything of your choice. Now listen to this point carefully. You apply a force at a height of R by 2, friction is 0. You increase the height, friction is positive. you apply at a height less than r by 2, direction of friction will be
Backward.
Backward direction.
by the same analysis, because if I apply it less than r by 2, torque will decrease, alpha will decrease, so A should decrease, so friction should be in backward direction.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Let us assume I didn't know this analysis at all. Let us assume I didn't know this analysis. And I apply a force at a height of r by 4 less than r by 2. I just now realized that friction should be backwards. But here, I didn't know that and I took friction in the forward direction. Let us assume F plus F is equal to ME. F into R by 4 minus F into R is MR square by 2 into alpha is A by R. F into R by 4 minus F into R is I into alpha. F by 4 minus F is MA by 2. Are both the equations clear to all?
Yes, sir.
5F by 4 is 3MA by 2. That implies F is 6MA by 5. What is small f is equal to?
Minus MA by 5.
Minus MA.
Minus MA by 5. What does this negative sign tell me?
Opposite direction.
Direction of friction I have taken is wrong. It should be in backward direction. Right? So now I conclude that if I apply a force at a height of r by 4, friction will act in the backward direction. Friction should be less than mu(n) greater than 0. These are the limiting values for friction. And you are getting capital F is 6 times small f. So in this case, if I apply a force less than 6 times mu(n) and greater than 0, any value between this, I apply as force, the body will roll. Corresponding value of friction will change and adjust to make sure that the body rolls. I'll apply some value between 0 to mu(n). How much is the value of friction? It will be 1/6 of that particular force in the backward direction to make the body roll. Did you understand now how they will set the match the column? They'll give you different values of F. Some will be between 0 and 6 times mu(n). Some will be beyond 6 times mu(n). Beyond 6 times mu(n) ka force cannot make the body roll. But between 0 and 6 times mu(n), the body will roll. Friction will become 1/5, 1/6 of the force applied. If you are applying the force at a height of r by 4 on a disc. Now r by 4 can be changed to r by 8, r by 6, r by 7. You can give any value. Procedure will be the same and your calculations will be the same.
So, we are getting a negative answer, right? So, won't the answer is wrong?
The direction I have reversed because I got a negative sign. Friction taken is now in the backward direction.
But sir, when we are using friction and we get a negative answer, the answer should be wrong, right?
Why? Point of contact is at rest with respect to the surface.
Okay, sir.
I am standing here. Somebody is pushing me from behind. I take capital F plus friction is 0. Right? Depending on the force applied, friction will either be positive or negative.
Okay, sir. Got it.
So on a smooth surface, there's only one height we can apply.
Right. If it is on a smooth surface, there is only one height at which you can apply force, for which the body will roll.
So, sir, if you apply at any other height, it will just show translational motion, right? It won't roll.
It will not roll, but it will have both rotation and translation.
Okay.
There will be slipping at the point of contact.
And sir, I wanted to confirm, so sir, for any height greater than r/2 friction, sorry, force will always be 3 times friction.
No, at a height of r it was. You change the height, I have shown you its value is changing.
Okay, sir, got it. Thank you.
Sir, below the center of mass, the force cannot make the body roll, no?
It can, its value, frictional value should be very high.
Okay, sir.
So if you apply beyond this, then the body will slide, right?
Beyond what?
The range of F, capital F.
That's what we are explaining since long. If F is beyond 0 and mu n, the point will be slipping and not rolling. If capital F is between 0 to 6 times mu n, friction will correspondingly adjust its value to make sure that the body rolls.
Yes, sir.
Noted, sir.
Any other height you want to work out, you can do it on your own now. Yes or no? Don't keep asking me at r/6, r/10, at the center. You know what is to be done. मेरे लिए homework क्यों यार? जब आपको सिखाया गया है, please put the pen on paper. If height is 0, you know what to do. Why ask me?
Sir, when the force is applied below the center, then
Friction will be in backward direction, but it will be a huge value required because friction should give me clockwise alpha.
yes.
But logic is the same. Apply these conditions: translational dynamic equation, rotational dynamic equation. Friction will be 0 for a disk only at a height of r/2. I increase the height, friction will act in the forward direction to make the body roll. I decrease the height, friction will act in the backward direction to make the body roll. Whole of this analysis, your class notes is your exclusive reference. You will not get it anywhere else. Please go through the class notes today evening again. That itself is a homework.
Class is over.
Yeah.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you so much,
sir.
sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Good.
Thanks. Sir, in this analysis, we have taken a disk, but this is also correct for all other bodies, right?
The process will be the same. You'll have to change the
Yes.
moment of inertia.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.